I wanted to ask all of you yesterday of a clip that I could not help but smile at because of how contentious it got between Stephen A. Smith and Jay Williams on the set of First Take. And I don't know if you saw some of the numbers, but in this industry that we care about, football dominating everything, the ratings were crazy for everybody in January. Everybody had record ratings. Get Up, First Take, all the shows, Undisputed, Colin Cowherd, and that's because football headed into the postseason. It keeps getting bigger somehow. They keep adding games, and a bunch of people keep getting hurt, and the results get distorted, but nothing stops the NFL. And Stephen A. Smith and Jay Williams were talking on First Take about Kyrie Irving. And it seemed genuinely nasty when Stephen A. Punctured Jay Williams, and I think took some of his confidence while they were arguing, because Jay Williams wants to hit Stephen A. Smith over the head with, hey, culturally speaking, you have bashed people like Kyrie Irving with a little more intensity than you do Jerry Jones and Dana White when they do the bad things. But everyone's a little bit afraid to lose that kind of fight on television with Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. Smith came back at him and said he seized on a verbal tick of Jay Williams as a less accomplished broadcaster. And he said, stop telling me that you find something interesting and just tell me how you feel. Because Jay Williams often starts things with, what I find interesting is, and he wants him to be more real. It's what he was pushing Max for. He doesn't want nuance. He wants arguments. He wants things that are spicy. And he doesn't think that anybody can beat him doing it this way. He's got a best-selling book. He's running ESPN, and the ratings are higher than they've ever been after he ran off Max Kellerman. And he thinks he's the best, and he knows he's the best, and he's paid like the best, and the ratings suggest that he's the best. And Jay Williams wasn't up for the argument. Jay Williams doesn't have the ability. He doesn't have the skill level at arguing well on television to not and doesn't have the power to not back down a little bit because it got too hot. And I'd just like to see Stephen A. Smith challenged by some people on that. Maybe we'll get the chance around here to challenge him a little bit on the inconsistency of the criticisms, because he was objecting, Stephen A. was, to, why would you say I'm going after Kyrie Irving personally? Why does it feel personal to you? And to my way of thinking, Stephen A., if you attack someone's character on television, it's always personal. It's never not personal. It doesn't have to be about a relationship. You're going after somebody's character. That transaction is a personal one when you're a professional critic.
What Stephen A. took exception to, though, was Jay Williams also has personal conflicts when it comes to the relationship with Kyrie and his business partnership with Kevin Durant that aren't always, he's the host of the boardroom. People can piece it together, but they're not always acknowledged on the television. So when he's coming at Stephen A. and he's using that criticism where Stephen A. is like, I respect the construct, and we don't necessarily tell the viewer how conflicted you are in all of this. So he took real offense to, how dare you, when you have your personal conflicts in this. You're saying I make it personal, everything that, anytime you weigh in on these two guys, it's personal for you. How can you separate yourself from that? Which I actually thought was a fair criticism.
I thought that was the part that they both got, it seemed intense, of them debating which of their analysis is more affected by their relationship.
By bias.
It was basically one of them went at the other one, and it was really, you're going to say that to me? Look at your biases. That was the part that it was whoa. That was when Molly got in with, guys, we're on the same team here.
Yeah. But in the middle of that, it really did descend into, I remember having these conversations before Highly Questionable, talking with Eric Rydholm and Bill Simmons about doing a late-night television show. Some version of was going to be, no, you're wronger. And it did devolve into, at one point, they're arguing, and they're trying to argue about some stuff. Man, a lot of people are talking about how Stephen A. goes after Kyrie Irving. A lot of people feel Stephen A. is not representing how Black Twitter would feel, for example, about some of the things that are happening popularly in debate television. But Stephen A. is winning. Stephen A., in the evolution of what this is for old people, Francesa and Bayless trying to stay in the game, he's got the highest ratings on a show that he changed because he's not in any way afraid to cause those sparks of going after somebody on television and dragging them on television.
Stephen A. is bigger than ESPN right now. The rules don't apply to him. He was just on The View campaigning against Trump's running in re-election. You know, the rules against staying out of politics don't apply to Stephen A. because he's such a monolith. He's so huge at that network.
I don't think that's true, actually. I think they've changed the rules where you can do it away from ESPN.
Yeah, they changed them for Stephen A.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yeah, like he shows up on Tucker.
He says this stuff like in interviews, like no one tells me what I can and cannot say. Like he's very like strident about I say what I want. But he doesn't really say it unfair. Like I think to your point, Dan, he does it a lot more off of ESPN.
He doesn't do it on their network, but they've afforded him the opportunity to do it on other networks, have podcasts outside of the ESPN umbrella where he can, because he's made it known that he wants to get a little bit more political, and no one's stopping him from doing that. They're just stopping him from doing that on ESPN.